Once again, thank you very much. I wish you well, success, and good health.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen, for your round of applause indeed. And you could have not heard it any way better or be enlightened but directly from the presidential candidate himself. So he's telling you firsthand what's happening in Guyana. At this time, I want to invite you from the audience. I'm sure your mind boggled and might have some questions. So it's a question and answer time. We'll entertain a few minutes. So you can pose your questions to IRFAAN and he will answer them accordingly. So there we have a young lady. So maybe you might want to come up here to the microphone so everybody can hear you.
Propaganda. Because our position has been clear. We're going to open the 3 estates, and Wales, because of what they have done to Wales, we can't reopen that. There's nothing there now. So we're going to look at diversifying the economic base, creating opportunities for the people in Wales, new opportunities, and when we do that, we will have to subsidize their existence. And this is nothing new. When the PPC came to government, Brother K-Wall, Totaram Totaram and Raj and these guys will tell you that the bauxite industry, when we came to government, the bauxite industry was finished. While we found new investors and new capital to invest in the industry, we provided subsidies, we retrained them, we retooled them to function in different aspects of the economy, and also we subsidized electricity and water for them. We asked this government, okay, you close the industry, at least subsidize the electricity and water for these people, and they refused.
Thank you. I'll suggest that if you have questions, kindly come up and line them so we can get by quickly. And now we have this over friend here.
One question, I'm wondering, how would your Muslim faith affect you in this presidential setting?
Well, when I joined the PPP, and when my grandmother joined the PPP, they didn't join the PPP based on faith. They joined the PPP based on principles, values, and a core set of ideas that formed the PPP. The PPP was not created for any religious bias, for any ethnic bias, or for any bias based on the social structure of the society. The PPP was a national party, is a national party, and the only national party. So I don't see faith and your belief to have anything as it relates to the presidential candidate. I represent a party that is nationalistic, and once your faith, whatever people, and to the betterment of humanity, then I can assure you your faith is leading you to the right direction.
All right, we got the next one coming up. And once again, if you have a question, kindly come up in front and line up so we can get out here quickly.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations on your nomination for the presidency. I have a couple of questions. And the first one I want to ask, I'm not really involved in political arena, but I noticed that you have some legal issues in the country. I'd like to know how that would affect you in terms of your running for the president of the country. Secondly, is there a date set for the election? Or is a campaign that's open until there's a date set for the election? And thirdly, obviously you don't have manifestos yet, so we don't know what the agenda in terms of just you would continue running the way you were running before. But I would like to hear more about your agenda in terms of the poor people of Guyana. Like, what is it this new PPP Civic is going to be doing for the poor people of Guyana? Instead of opening sugar estate, whereby we know in today's market, sugar is not a viable product in the international market today. So thank you, and I'll give you a chance to respond.
Thank you very much for your question. First of all, I don't share a view that sugar is not viable. First of all, when you look at sugar and Guyana, you have to understand the context of sugar in Guyana. Sugar in Guyana is not just a factory of the sugar workers. If you do an equation, a matrix, and you put all the pros on one side and all the cons on one side, you will see the pros far outweigh the cons when it comes to the sugar industry. When you calculate the loss of benefit, the D&I services that farmers depend on so that they can go to the land, that the Diaspora would have carried, health services, recreational services, the linkage to other segments of the society. If the idea of closure was so good, why is it that the government ran away from a socio and economic study? A socio and economic study is far different from a financial analysis. A financial analysis is bottom line dollars, profit and loss. A social and economic study speaks of many other aspects of life, community, other indicators that are critical for growth and development. So in Guyana, sugar is critical to the life of the community and the life of the country, or foreign currency earning and all of this. So I have mentioned broadly some of the things that we're going to do. I didn't only speak about sugar, but I want to assure you that our manifesto, and you see, the party teaches us discipline too. So I can't come and say we'll finalize these things in the manifesto, and the stakeholder forum has not been completed as yet. Then you will say to me, how are you finalizing things in the manifesto and telling us about the stakeholder forum down the road? So we are waiting, it's a process, and we have to await the outcome of the process. Legal issue, I don't see a legal issue. I see politically motivated trumped up charges. I see vindictiveness. I see a government that is trying to paralyze a candidate using the law and using whatever agency they have on their side. But when you pelt a bumper ball on a wall and it comes back and hits you in the head, it hits you with great force. So you see what is going on in Sopo now. This is shambles. I don't know how they're going to proceed, but I want to remind you that the High Court has stayed all the charges. The High Court has stayed all the charges, have no legs. But what do I expect? I expect 500 more charges. I expect all type of accusations to come. But the same way I'm standing here, my brother, the same way I'm standing here this evening, as they throw it, the same way I'll be standing here before you. You know, one very experienced politician, his name is Pandy, said once, sometimes you have to be like the turtle. You pull your head in, and you let them beat you on the back until the back breaks. And when the back breaks, you push out your head and say, let's go again. So, the charges are trumped up, and this is not only is it related to me, this is related to all the leaders in the PDP. And let me say this, every single candidate who contested for the presidential candidacy are worthy candidates, exceptional persons of high caliber, high caliber, and they will all play an essential role in the next PDP civic government. This is about a team. This is about a team that we're going to have to lead elections with. That I assure you.
I just have one question. So generally, when politicians are looking for support for an election, they're very visible to the people, right? This is an international concept. When politicians are looking for votes and they're looking to get into power, they are very accessible to the people. And they basically say things that the people want to hear. Now, I'm not saying this of people, I'm just saying generally. And we've seen that in the past in Guyana from both governments, right? When it's time for campaigning, they go village by village, you can meet them, you have access to them, they hug you, they take pictures, that's all good and everything. But once they get into power, they are no longer for the people, by the people, and with the people. You can't even make an appointment to see them. You write a letter, you send an email, there's no access. They become aloof. So what is it that you will do differently? What is it that you will do differently so that you're not a repetitive thing like the same people that are coming from votes, and when you get in there, you become so aloof or not accessible to the people, because clearly the diaspora here is important to the PUP, and the diaspora in the US and Canada are important to the country. So don't forget about us when you get in, and what is that channel that we will have to have access to you once you get in us?
Thank you very much. Very, very good question. First of all, I am not going to say to you tonight that we did everything right. There were mistakes. When you sit and you look at things from the outside, you identify the gaps much easier, and you learn as to where the holes are, what need to be plugged, and how you can do this more effectively. For example, I don't know how many of you are from Berbice here. In Berbice, all your transaction has to be done in Georgetown. Renewal of license and all of this. Government has to become more efficient and accessible to the people. And you have to create an environment in which this occurs. So I'm going to start from that standpoint. We didn't do everything perfect. But I'm going to also say this to you, that under our presidency, one of the things that was most outstanding was how accessible the cabinet was. And this was as a result of a targeted program of cabinet outreaches to every region. The entire cabinet would go to regions and spend days. I was a minister there, and I can tell you, when you go out there, you used to tremble when you hear a cabinet outreach. For matter of fact, ministers used to send their technical people 4 days before to fix all the problems, before the cabinet outreach. Because that is when the people come out and speak directly to you. The last 3 years of our government, we lapsed a bit in terms of the cabinet outreaches, and that has to be corrected, and that will be corrected as we move forward. I'm going to ask the members of the ACG to stand up for a moment. A lot of them are here. If you could just stand for a moment, please. And the Democracy Institute for Democracy and so on. Todos, you gotta stand up. Dave, Bola, stand up. Now I want to say, why I asked them to stand is because of this. You asked about the diaspora. The PPP Civic has always kept in touch with the diaspora through the ACG. From Dr. Jagan coming right through. Whenever they come up here as president, they always had town hall meeting, they had outreaches to different segments of the population. Always. I don't know if this government had any. I'll be surprised if they had any. But that was a feature of the government. But the diaspora also have a role. And that role is not to relax. An opportunity will come your way. You have to proactively seek out the opportunities. There is someone sitting on one of the tables here that at the very inception of the housing program went back. I was very successful. The country is now taking a new direction that will create so many opportunities. But if you sit here and you don't go, invest time and some resources in identifying the opportunities, and in creating an environment in which you can benefit from some of the opportunities, then you'll be doing yourself an injustice. Persons from all over the world now are going seeking out the opportunities. Dave from the West Indian grocery man there can tell you he's constantly evolving in what he is doing. Now, coconut water, I think, is the best coconut water you can drink now in New York, here in the US. From the Cameroon, right there? Yeah. So, the opportunities are there, right? And we have to seek out those opportunities. The consulate office here, we have to strengthen. We have to offer more services to the consulate office. And one of the things we're looking at in the manifesto is to create an economic desk in the consulate office with an investment officer that can be a go-between investors here, the diaspora here, and Guyana, so that we can fast-track things, right? So it's a two-way relationship. It's a two-way relationship. Like, for example, tonight, we throw out an opportunity to contribute your ideas to the manifesto. So let us see how many persons will respond to that opportunity. So it is a two-way street. And also I spoke this morning about ensuring that when we draft the local content legislation, we address the diaspora and investment from the diaspora there too. Because we have more than our population living outside, and they've got to be protected in some way in that local content legislation.
And I was very impressed with your land of the figures and the issues and the numbers you've expressed. My question is around GDP growth and foreign investment and your initiatives related to that. And secondly, the time of the manifesto. Whether is there a deadline, it's fully completed, given a short window, the election leads us to the middle. Is that to be a marketing tool to reach out to folks and educate them about your background? Thanks.
Yeah. So we are looking to complete the manifesto in another 3 weeks after the stakeholder consultation. We can have a long debate on GDP and GDP growth, whether GDP growth is the best indicator for economic wealth and well-being. It's a debate that we can have all night, but it's very important in terms of your macroeconomic outlook and for investors' confidence. We are also looking at doubling disposable income. And we are looking at doubling our international reserves outside the sovereign wealth fund. So with it outside of the sovereign wealth fund, we are looking also at doubling our international reserves. And we are looking at doubling up on our disposable income. And disposable income is what drives all the other aspects of the economy.
Well, as IRFAAN has said, you can submit your suggestions for the manifesto, and we'll be just entertaining one more question. This young lady from Barbados, which is very essential. So we'll pass the microphone to her.
Congratulations, Minister. Actually had the opportunity when you were Minister to attend one of my events, so congratulations. My question is two-part. First of all, I look around and I want to say that you're representing the women, Guyanese women here, and I want to know that what kind of aggressive programs you would put in place when it comes to social impact, because Guyana has a lot of issues with domestic violence and women, and so that's one part. The second part is everyone says, oh, racial issues. And I know I heard here they said now it's religious issues, and so there's always some issues. I want to know if you would use Guyana as a mirror to reflect in the community around us, such as Trinidad, Barbados, Jamaica, Brazil, where when you speak to someone from there and he says, you might see a man that looks white or Chinese or whatever, but when they start talking, they say, oh, I'm Trinidadian, I'm Guyanese. I'm Trinidadian, I'm Jamaican or whatever. I think what programs are you going to put in place to dismantle this Afro-Guyanese and Indian Guyanese, and where we can just be Guyanese? You have aggressive campaign for the schools or the churches or whatever. So.
Great questions. Unity is not a word. Unity is, to achieve unity requires action. Action is ridding yourself of past behavior and developing a new culture moving forward. Sometimes people just use the word unity in abstract, but unity is an action word if you're to achieve unity itself. And a lot of it has to do with our own consciousness. if you look at what is some of the comments on social media, a government can come into someone's head and say to that person, stop this nonsense. It can create an environment through opportunities, through equal access, but inherent racist behavior has to be treated differently. Now, how do we do this? I was in India. They had a big problem with the wastage of water in one city. So they decided to target the children in the school. And they taught the children about conservation of water. Small kids. Eventually the small kids went home, and when they saw their parents leaving the pipe on, but that's not right, Daddy. That's not right, Mom. You need to take the pipe on. So they started from the kids to correct the adults. So there must be a cultural shift. But that cultural shift can only be achieved if economic well-being and social well-being is improved. The concept of social and economic justice becomes important to the equation of achieving national unity. Because when somebody goes to bed hungry, it's difficult to convince them that you need to change your mindset. But when somebody sees that they have an equal stake on the table, then it's easier to communicate and change the mindset to that person. And the chairperson for the PNC, Walter Lawrence, made a statement the other day that does not do well for racial harmony or political harmony in the country. And I'm not going to repeat it because it's not worth repeating. So then you mentioned the issue of domestic violence and so very important. We have to target this, it's a sword, and we have to seek, and Diaspora will have to provide some of the skills that can help us in this regard. So I don't have the answers to everything. That is why I'm saying I'm part of a team. A team would have to look at different circumstances and find solutions to the team to problems. But I know that empowering women is an important issue, especially for a single parent. It's very difficult for a single parent mother to get a loan anywhere in the world. So we have to be able to create a fund, a revolving fund, that can help them to get easier access to capital and cheaper access to capital, so that they can become more empowered in an economic sense, and then that will trigger other improvements. So this is something we have to work on, and it's something that will be high up on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ladies and gentlemen, the next president of Guyana, give us a round of applause.